Welcome to Demolition Success Secrets, the podcast that's changing the game for demolition businesses everywhere. Ever wondered how a wrecking ball wielding industry can leverage digital marketing to dominate their market? Well, we've got the blueprints, strategies, expert guests, and more to show you how. Stay tuned, because we're about to blast through the barriers of your business.
It's another episode of Demolition Success Secrets. Today, we have an awesome guest out of Florida, our backyard. We have Kyle. Kyle, welcome. What's going on?
Oh, not much, man. Just out hitting the pavement, bidding some jobs, getting some work done.
Cool. What kind of jobs is a normal day? What are you guys usually working on?
You know, since Ian came through here, it's you would think that it's a scenario where everybody wants everything done at once, and that's how it started. It seemed like, and it's really just continuing to trickle down. So we're doing a lot of just getting out there, showing people what we do, who we are, and there's a lot of people that need our services. So it's really important for us to get out in the community and let people know who we are. And there's places like Sanibel, Pine Island, Cape Coral, where I live, Fort Myers Beach. That's really where there's a lot of the work still out there as far as demoing structures, clearing land, even still picking up debris, because everything just still a little decimated.
Okay. What are your favorite kind of jobs to do from a business perspective and a capabilities perspective?
You know, it's never gets old to tear down a house. Just getting in the excavator, start ripping it down with, no constraints whatsoever. Just start tearing it down. It kind of gets the stress off you, and until you start having to pick everything up and load it up, and then it starts to get a little bit stressful because you're like, well, I just made a giant mess. Now I got to pick all this up. So it's pros and cons to that, obviously.
That's fair. Okay, so you guys like houses. What about bigger structures? Are you guys doing a lot of pool work where you're filling in, or farms, things like that?
Yeah, it's crazy. People, even in South Florida, as far south as we are, still want to fill in pools and get rid of them, and we do that quite often. Yeah, it's crazy. We'll just come in there with the excavator, pull out the old pool, and just bring the truck in and fill her in, and that's it.
It is awesome. Yeah, it's funny. We have a lot of clients, and a lot of them get with us, and they're starting to get work, pools, houses, that kind of stuff. And then some of them, they just have stopped. They're like, hey, like we're getting way bigger jobs than that. Don't even waste our time. Like, so the calls will still come in, and they're thankful. Usually they'll just hand it off to one of their, I guess you could say, competitors or one of their partners or buddies. And someone's happy to do that work. But some of this stuff is crazy. Do you have any maybe monster jobs that you'll never forget that you've done?
Monster jobs? No. As far as clearing land and demo, we're pretty small. We don't do real big jobs. Probably the biggest was, we did a big mulch job out in Arcadia for kind of I guess they call it like a hog hunt kind of ranch thing. And cool. They had, I think, we probably mulched about 20 acres out there. It was quite a bit. So it's just getting in the skid steer, putting on the mulcher, putting in the headphones, and it's like mowing the lawn, man. It's 10 hours a day at that. Get out, blow out your machine, fuel it up, and do it all over again the next day.
And they paid you in meat, or did they pay you in dollars?
Oh man, it was dollars. And I definitely got invited out there to do some hunts, but cool. This business kind of keeps you more busy than you want to be, so you don't always get to do those things that you want to do when you have just that little bit of spare time. It's because something's always broken. Truck, skid steer, excavator. It's just, this business doesn't sleep.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting business, and a lot of the people we talk to on the podcast, they're either a few years in or they have a big gap. Like they've been doing this for 20 years, 30 years. Everyone's got a problem. Everyone.
Yeah, it's I think my biggest complaint is probably my back and my chiropractic bill. Bounce around the machine all day. That gets old. But that's part of the gig. You got to expect that. What got me into clearing land and demolition is I was previously a contractor in another state, and then I came down here, and I didn't really want to do like heavy concrete construction anymore. So that's how I got into this business, because people are kind of like, hey man, I think you'd be good at this. There's a big need for it. Why don't you try this out? So then I started dabbling into some grade work, and then the clearing came, and then the demolition, and then next thing you know, I've got my general contractor's license, and it's just like a steady upward. So we're blessed to be in that position, but at the same time, it's taken a lot of work to get here.
Yeah. What has been, I guess, the biggest challenge of the business thus far?
Definitely managing the finances and having
Yeah,
enough money to grow.
it's common.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, equipment is so expensive, and it hasn't been any easier since COVID hit, and inflation is just crazy. So you get in these battles of trying to buy more equipment, buy more trucks, attachments, and if there's low inventory, then the gouging starts, and you're already just trying to get something at a fair price to begin with, and then that starts, and that just doesn't help. So yeah, to answer the question, definitely the finances, just having enough money to grow, it's tough.
Now, do you have any secrets? Because in my world, I've found a number of different ways. Like, it sounds crazy, but 0% interest credit cards.
Right.
People, they you got to be very careful. Lines of credit, obviously loans from the bank.
Right.
Have you utilized any kind of mechanisms other than just straight up bootstrap?
Yes, for sure. Like materials, if we're building the pad for a house or whatever, stem wall backfill, whatever we're doing for like a builder, we can, if we have to, we could put materials on credit cards. I don't. Most dirt guys, because we don't haul our own material, most dirt guys, they're going to want a check for any materials, but anything like the daily, lubricants, just regular maintenance, PM stuff. Yeah, credit card all day long, and that stuff adds up fast, and the points really, airline points and all that stuff. That's one of the perks right there. That stuff adds up pretty quick. But as far as like purchasing equipment and trucks, yeah, I mean, you have to rely on the bank for that stuff. 0%, that's just like gone. I mean, you can't do that anymore. But yeah, that's the way we've been playing it. It's not an easy game to play, but we're figuring it out.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I love to bring on different guests who have wisdom. So I'll bring on one of my buddies who works for Chase Bank. He's done it for years. And we'll kind of get his ideas because he's a wizard. Like he kind of plays it like, hey, I work for Chase, but it's between you and me kind of thing.
Yeah.
He might have some good insights there. We've also had a lot of interest in trying to figure out how to get paid quicker. So like on your deals, how do you guys yeah, how do you guys figure that one out? Do you guys have kind of net 30 or we got to get paid in certain splits?
No, I don't offer net 30. If I'm bringing materials on a job, that's like net 10 max.
Yeah.
But you really have to vet your customers before you even do work for them. You got to lay out the expectations. I mean, they have to know that you've got multiple jobs going on with materials on most of them, and just a ton of expenses. And most people do understand, and they do want to pay you as fast as they can. But I do understand that some people are out there, builders, developers out there building houses all on credit, and it takes some time. And as long as I have some communication on when that payment will be expected, that's fine. I totally get it. But the ghosting, that's happened before. Not a fan of that, obviously, but I've never had anyone not pay me, so I'm doing good in that aspect so far.
Okay. Now, do you guys take a deposit, a percentage up front, or is everything based on performance completed?
Yep, everything. I never take a deposit. It's a headache, I think, for everybody.
Yeah.
It just takes that much extra time to send an invoice, get the invoice paid. Um, we might consider it in the future on some specific jobs, but I haven't had a need to do it yet.
Hmm. Yeah, it's fascinating. Everyone's different. It's just such a weird kind of. That's why we wanted to get you on here, and obviously guests. We're in a number of Facebook groups. A lot of people are really active with the podcast, and I will say, if there was a genius out there who could get that payment thing figured out, it would be huge because so many people, I can't tell you how many people have said we've seen people go boom and bust. Me, myself, have had a few lawsuits or what have you kind of thing
Right.
as our guest. Yeah, it's a very interesting business, but like you said, maybe there is a best practice with certain jobs, or maybe a standard in the future that you say, hey, on everything, you got to pay to play, you got to get some skin in the game.
Sure.
But you've been doing it well, and it's been working. So, any, I don't want to say most lucrative jobs you ever done, but any job that excites you where you just go, man, I ate steak that night or something like that. Is there, you
Yeah.
don't need to get in the numbers, but maybe a particular type of job that y'all did?
Yeah, I honestly the mulching, if that's really just you just bid those jobs what you think it'll be hourly, put your rate on that, and then just get in there and hope that you got pretty close to your number. And I usually hit those ones just a little high, and they work out good. So yeah, I'd love to get in a skid steer and go bounce around that thing for 8-10 hours a day and just mulch, grind brush. It pays good. I mean, it hasn't failed me ever. I bought that attachment. It was like $31,000, and
Okay.
it paid itself back in 6 months.
Wow.
I mean,
How
that
many jobs
fast.
you think? One job, two jobs, three?
Half of it was one job.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
That's
it's like
amazing.
that was a good investment.
Oh yeah.
That was a win. Because the wins are hard to get in this business. But yeah, that's the more experience you get, the more wins you get. It's just you gotta be willing to maybe not take a loss, but at least learn something from every job to where you can, the next time that you know what you did wrong, and you can
Mm,
fix that and make some more money on the next job.
right. Yeah, it sounds like the mulching business is kind of that's your niche right there. That's the honey pot.
Yeah, it's hit or miss though. We don't use it a ton, but
Okay.
when we do use it, it's like straight profit because all it's just fuel and grease,
Mm,
fuel, grease, and every now and then you got to put some teeth on the drum, but
right.
and that gets pricey too. But yes, it's just kind of a low expense. Kind of you know what you get when you go out and do it.
Mm. Now, how far will you guys work from where you live? Is it a radius thing? Is it state by state? Like, how far will you guys go usually?
Yeah, obviously the business name is Florida Land Clearing and Demolition, so we will go statewide. It just
Okay.
depends on what the job is. If it's a good job for us, a good fit for the company. Um, you know, we go down to Naples quite a bit and up as far as Arcadia, Sarasota. That's really been probably the gist of as big radius as we've gone. Um, but we're willing to go wherever we're needed.
Right. Okay. Cool. Not Key West anytime soon. That's more for vacation, I'd assume.
Yeah, that's vacation. We try and do that once a year, anniversary
Cool.
with my wife. But yeah, it's I don't think there's a whole lot of clearing and demolition down there at the
Yeah,
time.
I think the hurricanes take care of that themselves.
Yeah, if you just look at a mangrove leaf the wrong way down there, you're gonna get a violation.
How is that? I don't know if this is true or not. I want to run it by you. I have a client in Atlanta, and he told me in the state of Florida you need a permit by county, and I assume in Georgia that's not the case for him. Is that accurate that you guys experience?
Need a permit per county
Per
just to
city,
clear.
or per county, I believe, for a demo job specifically, like tearing down a house or
It just
tearing down a building.
depends. It depends on what municipality you're working with, but yeah,
Okay.
county is pretty typical. We just demoed a house in Fort Myers Beach, and Fort Myers Beach is kind of like they 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 are like a township. They're not really a city anymore, so they're controlled by Lee County.
Okay.
So all the permitting goes through the county there. But yeah, it's Cape Coral house we demoed there. We went through the city on that one. Yeah, so it just depends on what municipality you're working within.
Okay. Yeah, it varies. And
Yeah,
are those usually are they a headache? I mean, it's more work, yes, but are they usually
yeah.
pretty slick and easy, or are they usually quite a pill to swallow?
I'll tell you, working in Cape Coral, if you don't get a permit to hang a wind chime, you're you're doing something wrong. Uh, no, but it just depends on where you're working. Yeah, it's some places are great and others are a little more difficult. Cape Corals, they've tried to streamline their permitting process by doing everything online, and
Okay.
yeah, it's had its growing pains, let's just say.
But
But
less going into the office, I guess, is potentially a little better.
oh yeah, you don't ever want to try and go in there to do anything with permitting. That's
Like the
that's a big
DMV
no
a few
no.
years ago. DMV's gotten
Exactly.
better. I don't know how they pulled that off. I don't know. Have you experienced that going to the DMV over the last few years compared to
Oh
like
yeah,
10 years ago?
yeah,
Crazy,
yeah.
crazy,
It
crazy.
wasn't terrible. We set an appointment here, and
Right.
I went right in.
Yeah, these days it's easy.
Yeah.
Back
Oh,
in the
10 years
day,
ago. Okay,
that's
gotcha.
that's when it was like dicey. So hopefully
Right,
that's what they're aiming for, is like
right.
to make it a little bit more modern. Let me ask you on that. How do you think the business is segmenting from old school to new school? Like, I take you, modern guy, business that hasn't been going for 30, 40 years, or not,
Right.
not 20 generations like some of the people we talk to. How do you think that's steering between the old school vision of demo and the modern new age version of demo, from the websites and,
Right.
advertising and
Yeah.
all that fun stuff?
Obviously, technology has changed everything, and for some things, great, and others not so great. I don't think I've experienced anything negative with more technology in construction, as long as they don't try and push electric equipment on me, then I think we'll be okay. Um,
It's California right there for you.
yeah, it's just not going to work. That's common sense, or maybe
Yeah,
uncommon sense now.
they got the outages out there, and they're still telling you need to buy a Tesla. I
Yeah,
just don't. I don't get that.
it's not going to work. Yeah, and I know there's some companies out there that do build electric excavators and skid steers and
Hmm.
whatnot. I don't think it's ever. I won't say ever, but it's not gonna work. Um, thank God we don't have to deal with that yet, and probably not ever in my
Hmm.
lifetime. But things like, we did a demo job recently, and the customer wanted to be there but couldn't. We just got some drone footage for him. Sent the
Cool.
drone up in the air and just had him circle while I tear down the house, and things like that are cool and handy. And honestly, I've done this multiple times with the drone. I'm going out to look at a big property to clear to bid on, and it would just be a colossal pain in the butt to walk the whole thing. So
Hmm.
I'll just send the drone up in the air for the spots that are hard to get to, because as you know, we got some pretty gnarly terrain down here in some places.
Oh yeah.
Just thick, thick, thick places you can't get, and I'll just send the drone up and I'll just kind of just go around the property, take a look, see what it looks like.
Hmm. And with your business, are you guys more demo centric, or more land clearing, or kind of a hybrid 50/50?
It's hybrid for sure. Anything in those two scopes, we're happy to look into and see if we can help the customer. Um, yeah, it's really 50/50, and we throw in some
Okay.
great work and some mulching. Um, yeah, stuff like that. It's you gotta mix it in this business.
Hmm.
I don't think you can just do grade work or just do site prep or land clearing and demolition. That's one thing I've learned. I wanted to try and narrow down the services and make it a little more streamlined.
Right.
I quickly found out that that wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to keep us busy enough.
You got to be diverse almost.
You do. You gotta throw in. You gotta have some smaller jobs just sprinkle in there just to keep everybody rolling and just keep money coming in.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we talked about kind of those ups and downs type of thing.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
interesting. Do you guys have, I think we might have touched on this a little bit earlier, but do you guys have any crazy deals that you would accept if the terms were like a 90-day term or something, you know, where you just said, hey, the deal looks good. We did our background check, our clearance on this customer. Seems like they're, you know, willing to pay. Would you be
Right.
open to some bigger deals if they just said, hey, we need 60 days, we need 90 days to pay?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's as long as financially it made sense, I don't see why not. I mean, you got to be somewhat flexible in this business.
Right.
Payment, it's always hard to be flexible in payment, but if it was a good job, yeah, why not? I don't see why not.
Okay. Is there a job that scares you? Like some of our clients, we've seen insane stuff. One of the recent ones that we just heard, my guy sends me a video. He's on a skyscraper. I think he's 22 stories up. They are demolishing, I believe it was the top penthouse, the top floor. And it was crazy. I mean, I'm seeing helicopters and
Hmm.
cranes and all this insane stuff. And he's already high up there. And I'm like, first off, how did you guys get the equipment up there? Was it helicopters? Was it cranes? Like, it's not like they built the pyramids, you know, they didn't
Right.
they didn't have people carrying it up there. No
Right.
elevator is going to carry that stuff up there. So that was interesting. The answer on that was cranes,
Yeah.
which was just fascinating. But they're tearing down the top level so they can build 6 more penthouses on this building. And I was just like, that's nuts. And he was like, yeah, we got the job from you guys. And I was like, well, that's really cool.
What?
So is there stuff like that that like I know you would have to see it and know that you guys can do the job, but let's say like a warehouse, let's say a big old warehouse,
Right. Right.
or a former Kmart or something. Is that something you guys would take on, or is that just too crazy?
Man, I don't know. Yeah, that's right off the bat. It sounds a little too crazy. I don't
And
know.
that's okay, because some people they say, hey, like here's our line in the sand. We're not going to pass
Yeah.
that. You know, it sounds good, but we don't want to, you know, get in
Right.
trouble. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe what's the biggest thing you would be open to or you would kind of entertain job wise? Maybe it makes you a little uncomfortable, but you guys think you could fulfill.
Yeah, but I mean, a full demo on a multi-story, totally cool with that. You don't get a lot of that down here just because people don't build up in Florida, not around here anyways. But sometimes, condos and whatnot get demoed and rebuilt. But yeah, in multi-story projects, that's something that we don't typically do, but I would dabble into it for sure.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, yeah, the sky's kind of the limit. We've seen some weird stuff. I alluded to this on a few episodes ago. One of my guys, he sent me an article from AJC, Atlanta Journal Constitution, and I think it was 2 people, and they were setting off fireworks. I believe it was in the courtyard or maybe even in the apartments themselves, like crazy people. They got arrested, but big deal. Apartment burned down, massive complex burned down. Not full burn down, but I believe it was the top few floors. And I was like, all right, why are you sending this to me? And he was like, we just got that opportunity. You guys forwarded it to us. My company forwarded it to them. And I was like, that's a huge job. That's
Yeah.
insane. The stories we hear, and that's why I'm always curious, because some people say, "Man, if you wanted me to tear down the Empire State Building, we could do it." As other guys, they say, "Hey, I used to think like that when I joined the business, and
Right.
now I know kind of how far I'm willing to
Yeah.
go." And some GCs are not good. I mean, we've heard different stories about developers, like, you know, Donald Trump. There's a million things you could say, but of sorts, I remember you've heard back in the day, a lot of people said, hey, we did work and the bills never got paid.
Right.
Obviously, he paid a lot of contractors too, but you gotta, like you said, vet your contractor, vet your customer, vet your client, etc. Can you tell me maybe how you do that? Are there any tools you use or tactics? Call up people who worked with them? You look online? How do you vet your customers?
I just do with a conversation. If I don't know them, I lay out the expectations. I do my best to make them understand, you know, why I need to be paid when I need to be paid, why I ask to be paid when I would like to be paid. Um, and most people understand, they know that I'm a person too. I have a family and bills got to be paid. That if I if you want me to finance your job, well then I feel like you should say that up front. If you're going to make me wait for my money, that the price may reflect then. So you just got to have those conversations with people, and most people would say it's an uncomfortable conversation, but nothing
Hmm,
is ever going to be more important than my family and the well-being and making sure that they're taken care of. And that's what I'm in business for, is for my family, and just to make sure that we got roof over our head, food to eat, all that good stuff. And people just they I think they kind of have maybe a misunderstanding of how much money this business does not make. It's profitable, yes,
hmm,
but they see
sure.
shiny things, excavators, skid steers, trucks, and they really think that you're doing fine. And it's like, hey, buddy, I'm just trying to get the next payment, keep me going.
Mm,
uh,
yeah, no, and that's the truth and honesty. I think that's a lot of business owners. I had a guest on yesterday up in Canada, like the friendliest, nicest people up there kind of thing. And he was like, these people look at me and they'll say, "Oh, you're rich. You're a business owner. You don't need the money. You're good. You could wait." And he's like, "Man, you don't understand. Yes, I make more money than you in revenue and gross. You're an
right,
employee. You make $70,000 a year. I don't, but I also have $700,000 a year in bills at least. And
right,
the company may do $1 million, sure, but
right.
you don't understand. We have $900,000 of expenses. Like,
Expenses, man. That's one thing I talk about more than anything to people, because I do get it a lot. Oh yeah, new truck, you're doing good. And I'm like, no, I need something reliable that tows my equipment, this, that, and the other. And I tell people, I said, you don't have a clue what expenses are with this business. It's
mm,
it's it's through the roof. And a big one's fuel.
sure,
That was a tough one to bite when we got up to 5.75 a gallon here.
yeah.
So yeah, like you hit the nail on the head. It's expenses. Yeah, we might have 1 million in sales, but like you said, expenses, they're there.
Now I wonder. So it's interesting. How do you guys get jobs? Like, what is the ability to pull those in? Is it GCs? Is it networking? Like, what's the?
Absolutely. You can't just do one thing. There's got to be multiple different avenues. Obviously, networking groups are great. That's where I met a lot of people that are in trades as well, and they end up either needing my services or knowing somebody that needs my services. So you do a good job for them, or you do a good job for their friend, and then the referrals start to come in, just word of mouth. And that's a really good way to get jobs. That can't be the only way. That's why I have a website. And then that website is all input through Google with SEO and everything. And that way, as you know, I'm sure people Google land clearing Cape Coral, and boom, there I am. And I'm easy to contact. Click the call button or get on my website and fill out the contact form, whatever it may be. Those are the two major and almost only ways I get business. I've tried the Angie's and Home Advisor stuff in the past, and wasn't uh, wasn't too successful with that for whatever reason. Um, I also get out and I will hit some of these events to where they're kind of looking for vendors to come help kind of spread the what's the word I'm looking for? We just did a Christmas event where we just come out and basically have a vendor booth where we can show people what we do and also give away gifts and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a good way to get your name out there.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so those are some good insights. What did you feel? Because boy, I have a really funny story. I once had a client put us up against Angie's List, and he said, "All right, we're gonna try what you guys could source us. And we're gonna try what Angie's can." And I came back a month later, and I knew we had only sourced them like 12 opportunities. It was the first month we were working with them, and I wasn't thrilled about that, but I knew that they were, for the most part, good stuff. And then I met with them and they said, "So we got 30 leads from Angie's last month." And I'm like, "That's awesome. Congrats. How did it go?" "Well, we got 0 jobs." And I was like, "Come on, man. Like, you guys are decent. You have a good sales process. You bid well. You guys have a reputation. What do you mean you got 0 deals? You're lying to me." And I know there's a sales cycle. I know it could take 3 months. I know it could take 6 months for certain deals. I said, traction wise, what do you have? And they said, "We got like 1 that may pan out, and the other 29 were just junk." And I said, "All right, well, we gave you 12. I don't feel great about that, but I know we have quality." I said, "What did you guys do?" They go, "Oh yeah, we got paid on 3 of those already on the 12." And I was like, "All right, great, awesome."
Yeah.
So what did you feel? Was that the same kind of thing with those guys?
That's exactly what it is.
Kickers.
Yeah, quality of lead. Tire kickers is like that's a nail on the head for sure. And those guys, they still call me every week, and I'm like, "Guys, it's my number, please." but yes, tire kickers. That's the best way to describe it. I'd have people calling me and being like, "Well, if I bought this property, I was wondering how much it'd be to clear it," and I'm like, "Listen, it's going to be between $5,000 and $20,000. I don't know, buddy. It depends on a lot of things. But I don't just go out and bid jobs to bid jobs. If you own the property, that's one thing. But you would just be kicking yourself every day because you're getting those calls like that from Angie's and whatnot. So yeah, it just wasn't there. The quality wasn't there.
And you gave it a few weeks at least, like you gave it some time to try to see it for what it is. Okay.
Couple months.
Oh wow. All right.
Yeah. I spent some money on it.
Commitment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I don't want to bring back the pain. I don't want to like turn the knife in your heart, but that's interesting. I wonder, I got to entertain ourselves on this. I have heard a conspiracy. I should probably do some more research on this. There is a conspiracy in the world that the Angies out there they were getting call centers to juice up the numbers, effectively charging customers more.
Yeah.
Would you ever think I mean, I know it might have not been yesterday that you were working with a company like that, but based on some of the calls and the results of them, do you think there might be any legitimacy to that? I'm not talking all the calls, but 10% of them, do you look back and go, some of that it didn't make sense?
Yeah, like when somebody reaches out to you and then you call them and they never call you back or anything, that seems a little odd to me.
Yeah, you text them, not even a text back, like that's odd.
Because you can get contacted on there through like their messaging system, whatever, and you have somebody, say, "Hey, I'm looking for your services." So, and all their contact info is on there. Well, then I would get on there and I would just call them right away. Be like, "Hey, this is Kyle. I saw you're looking for demolition, whatever." And there'd be instances where I never got a call, text, email back.
Weird.
Anything. Yeah. So I'm like, what is this? A freaking Russian bot?
Right. Yeah. Well, and I mean, I don't remember where I read that, but there was like something. It was legitimate speculation. It was like, Indian farm, Filipino farm, Russian farm, like effectively having centers throughout the world. And they would just sprinkle in those so they could say, "Hey, instead of 20 opportunities a month, we could say 30 opportunities," and just fluff the numbers a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're in the last few minutes of the podcast. We're still recording. Any other insights or wisdoms you want to share? Warnings or things you wish you knew back in the day? Any exciting things on the horizon?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely some things maybe I'd do different is I would find somebody that is in this line of work. If you're thinking about getting into it, this is what I should have done. I should have found somebody that maybe wanted to mentor me a little bit, um, and just get some more good available information about what you're getting into. Um, I've been able to figure things out pretty well, but it can never hurt to have a little extra help. And I think that goes for anything. I think everybody should have some sort of mentor to help guide you through maybe something that's new to you. Um, that would have been a good idea for me to maybe reach out, find somebody beforehand. And I was lucky enough to run into the right people, get out in the community, and just find the right people that are actually in the same business as me that give me all their wisdom all the time. So I got lucky in that aspect. There's a lot of, believe it or not, there's a lot of guys out there who do what I do, um, and I'm sure you've heard there's a lot that are questionable, and then there's there's not a lot in between. It's questionable or guys that do great legitimate work, and there's just no in between. And I've been
Mm,
fortunate to kind of get in with some of those guys that do what I do, and they've been very I've been blessed to get some information from them to help me grow.
you're like standing on the shoulders of giants,
Yeah,
not standing on the shoulders of scam artists. Yeah, I get
you're
that.
right.
It's,
Yeah,
I was gonna
yeah,
say it's like car salesman, or and then I thought, well, it's also like marketing, like what my company does. It's like it's not very much in the middle. You're either a scam artist and you're a ripoff,
you're
or
right.
you actually do the job and care. So our markets definitely relate to that. And boy, have I had some nightmares with people in the space, as
Yeah,
they've had nightmares with GCs and customers. And
right.
um, okay, well, that's some good stuff. How about any shout outs for your company? You know, website. Let us know who's a good person to reach out to you if they happen to be in your area or obviously in the state of Florida. Just kind of give us some of that insight, and we could kind of let people know.
Yeah, obviously we serve all of Lee County and surrounding areas. We try and stay in Lee County, but I hit the pavement. I do all the sales stuff. So anybody that would ever want to reach out to me for any sort of quoting, yeah, get on the website, floridalandclearing.net. Um, yeah, it's easy. It's easy. You just get on there and fill out the contact form. Find us on Google. Yeah, it's super easy these days.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, that's great. How about for your company? Where are you guys going in the next 5, 10 years? Other than Key West once a year.
Yeah, Key West once a year, just to get half a day off. We'll run down there real quick. Um, More equipment. That's really that. Just to the more assets we add, the more capability we have, and that's what we need. And I've heard a lot of gibberish about people saying, kids don't work anymore, kids won't do this, kids won't do that. And
Mhm.
yeah, you experience that for sure. And every generation experiences that. But I've ran into some really great younger kids that really want to get in the business and get dirty and do the work. And yeah, that's people just talk about that not happening anymore, but I'm not seeing it. So let's keep that up.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many things in the media or even behind closed doors where people have a view of the world. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, that is a slice of the world, but that doesn't mean that that's the end all be all. Like, you're younger, I'm younger. We could be 50 and we could be younger, but it's a mindset, it's an
right.
outlook.
Yeah,
You could say, oh, I'm so old, and you're 40 years old. And it's like, well, I mean, you're labeling yourself, and you could also label part of the world.
right.
Um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
whether it's right or wrong, you can use your mind to say, hey, I'm going to look at things in a certain way that are going to be enlightening and help, even though it may not be totally right or totally accurate. choose the one that's going to help you rather than tear you down or tear others down.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And kind of where I was going with that was, yeah, we obviously want to add more assets to give ourselves more capability. But yeah, we need every person that works for us is an asset as well. So yeah, I mean, that's another thing we definitely are working on, is adding individuals that'll be an asset to the company as well, not just equipment and attachments and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, that's investing in people and their families and the community. That's really what we're trying to do. And we don't just want to be a paycheck for somebody. That's just not who I am, who my family is. So that's really, that's the future of the company. We want to add more assets, as in people and equipment, but mainly people that are an asset to the community.
Yeah, no, I'm in alignment with that. And it's funny, alluding to earlier, it'd be interesting almost where you're like, hey, you're coming into the family, welcome, we love you, we want you to succeed. I always tell my team, like, if I don't succeed, you don't succeed. If you don't succeed, I don't succeed. Like, we're all in this together. But also, like, all of this going on costs a lot of money, and I'm with you. I want you to get paid royally. I want you to win financially. But just because, I mean, a lot of jobs, they don't do that. A lot of jobs, that never comes up. Everyone is thinking it's one-sided, where the boss, the manager, the owner, whatever, is winning, and you're just feeling like you're breaking by. But like, almost in the first week or two, fluff it up, make everyone feel welcoming and all that good stuff. I'm all for it. But also like a little bit of, hey guys, like, I just want to let you know, I want you to be here forever. I want you to succeed. I want to pay you more. Yeah. But just letting you feel and understand, when you see these invoices, that $100,000, $50,000, what have you, that's not a paycheck for me. That's going into the war chest, and that war chest gets depleted regularly. So work with me and I'll work with you, and we're all on the same mission, same team. If you take care of me, I could take care of you. Exactly. But yeah, Kyle, thank you for the time. I know you're in the car, so we're going to wrap up this episode, guys. Thank you so much, Kyle, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Right on. Thanks for letting me come on, man.
That's a wrap for this episode of Demolition Success Secrets. Stay tuned and subscribe for more explosive insights from our upcoming episodes. Until then, continue to blow up your demolition business and make the competition rubble in your path.